us study the next property of nerve fiber, and the property is summation effect. Now the name itself indicates that summation means addition. Let us study a single subliminal means weak stimulus. A single weak stimulus will have no effect on the nerve cell or the nerve fiber. But if many such weak stimuli are given in a quick succession, they may produce an impulse due to addition or summation of stimuli. Now for this, I'll just give you a simple example. You and your friends, you are sitting and doing some work, and one of your friend has come and just tap your head. You will not bother or you will not pay attention, but your friend is continuously tapping your head in a quick succession, means repeatedly without wasting your time. Okay, within a fraction of second he has tapped or she has tapped many times. Definitely you are going to respond. Okay, because that single tapping it is going to add. Same it has happened in the neuron or the nerve cell. A single subliminal stimulus, a single tap, weak stimulus, it will not have no effect. But if many such weak stimuli, continuous, if they are given in a quick succession, continuously without wasting time, if your friend is tapping, definitely you are going to respond. So they may produce an impulse due to addition or summation of stimuli. That is called as summation effect. Now the next property of the nerve fiber is all or none law. Now what do you mean by all or none law? The nerve will either conduct the impulse along its entire length or will not conduct the impulse at all. As in case of subliminal or weak stimulus, if you are providing a very weak stimulus to a nerve, that nerve will not conduct the impulse. It is not like that. This is one of the important property of the nerve, that as you are providing very weak stimulus. Now the property of the nerve is, we know that the nerve consists of cyton, then axon, axon terminal. It is not happening you are providing weak stimulus and the impulse is going and resting in the cyton only, or impulse is carrying till half part of the axon. No, it is not like that. Either it will conduct the impulse throughout the length or it will not conduct at all. This property is called as all or none law. Now we will study next property of nerve fiber, and the property is refractory period. Let us study what do you mean by refractory period. It is the time interval, and the time interval it is about just millisecond, during which a nerve failed to respond a secondary stimulus, however strong it is. We know that the stimulus are of three parts: threshold stimulus, subliminal stimulus which is called as weak stimulus, and supraliminal stimulus which is a strong stimulus. This stimulus, it is whenever we provide stimulus to the nerve, it carry the impulse, and it carry the impulse throughout its length, and it transfer that impulse to next neuron. So refractory period means the time which is required for the nerve to take its halt, you can say, or take a rest. At that time, that nerve will not give response to second stimulus, however strong it is. Synaptic delay. The impulse require about 0.3 to 0.5 millisecond to cross the synapse. As I told, the one neuron and second neuron, in between two neuron, the junction which is present is called as the synapse. So the impulse require 0.3 to 0.5 millisecond to cross the synapse. No doubt that area or the part which is having very small area, but that neuron or that impulse has to pass that synapse or pass that particular area or the gap. For that impulse require 0.3 to 0.5 millisecond. This time is required for release of neurotransmitter from axon terminal and excitation in dendron of next neuron. Definitely one neuron and second neuron, in between this gap is present. One neuron axon terminal releases neurotransmitter messengers. That neurotransmitter has to bind with the dendrites of another neuron. So definitely it requires time. So that time is called as synaptic delay. Synaptic fatigue. Fatigue means tiredness. In short, it is also called as synaptic, you can say fatigue means tired. The transmission of nerve impulse across the synapse halt temporarily due to its fatigueness or due to its tiredness. You can say in other words, due to depression. It is also called as synaptic depression. The transmission of nerve impulse across the synapse. Across the synapse means wherever the gap is present, wherever the junction is present. At that time, it halts temporarily. It takes the rest due to exhaustion of its neurotransmitter. Neurotransmitter gets exhausted, gets tired. So due to that, they get a halt, and that halt is called as synaptic fatigue. We will study about velocity. The rate of transmission of impulse is higher in long and thick nerves. This is regarding the velocity of the nerve impulse. It is higher in case of long and thick nerves. Second property, it is higher in homeotherms than in poikilotherms. Homeotherms means warm-blooded animal. Like human beings, we are warm-blooded animal. Here, the velocity it is higher as compared to cold-blooded or poikilotherm animal. It is higher. It is means velocity is higher in voluntary fibers, means skeletal muscles, and it is as much as 100 to 120 meter per second in case of human being. And in case of involuntary muscles, it is just 10 to 20 meter per second. It is faster in medulated nerve fiber because it has to jump to the node of Renvier. Pre and post synaptic neuron. Now, in case of neuron, one neuron and second neuron. One neuron has to transmit the message to second neuron. So, presynaptic means the neuron which is present before synapse, before junction is called as presynaptic neuron, and the neuron which is present after the synapse is called as postsynaptic neuron. Synaptic cleft, it lies in between the two cells. Now the difference between synapse and the cleft is, synapse it is the junction, you can say, I'll just draw and I'll show you. Suppose this is a neuron, this is one neuron, this is axon, and these are dendrites. So here another neuron it starts. Here these are the dendrites, this is cyton, and again this is axon, and these are axon terminals. This is cyton, this is axon terminal. Again here this gap, big gap is called as synapse. Dendrites are there, cyton, again axon terminal. Okay, this is second neuron. Pre and post synaptic neuron. This is this structure, a big structure is called as synapse. So presynaptic means the neuron before synapse is presynaptic, after synapse is called as postsynaptic. Synaptic cleft, it is just the gap in between. Now here the gap between axon terminal and the dendrite, starting of the dendrite. That small gap is called as synaptic cleft. This synaptic cleft, it lies in between two cells and it is having the width of about 20 to 30 nanometer. Synaptic transmission. Synaptic transmission, it takes place from one neuron, means presynaptic neuron, to postsynaptic neuron through this junction. Now here it is a one-way process. Always it is a one-way process where the neurotransmitter, they pass on the impulse or pass on the message from one neuron to another neuron.